Did you? Mm-mm. Hello and welcome, Collective Comics and Gaming Community family. This is Danny Morales, and I'm here with yet another episode of the Collective Spotlight, where we spotlight indie and up-and-coming creators. Today's guests are Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon, but before I bring them up, I actually want to give the whole community a shout-out. We had Free Comic Book Day this past Saturday, and it was a huge success. And anybody that was here, Matt was actually here as well as a guest, but anybody that came as a fan, as a customer, knows that it was a great event. And you guys, if you were here, you might recognize this guy that I'm bringing on. This is Josh. I'm going to go ahead and bring Matt and Steph from backstage too. There, yeah, Josh.
What's going on?
Hello.
What is up, guys? So Matt and Josh probably remember each other from Saturday.
Man, Josh was the second most knowledgeable dude in the whole store, man. Next to Danny only, but Josh knew what was up, man.
Yeah, Josh was our little volunteer guy. First of all, Pops says what's up. Pops is a big fan of everybody. Josh meet Pops, or Pops meet Josh. Josh meet Pops. But Josh, we had you running some stuff here for Free Comic Book Day. Tell us what it was that you were in charge of.
So we had like a little spin the wheel where you were able to spin a wheel to get different free prizes. And then we also were having a raffle going on where you could just enter a little slip and you could win some cool little sketches and whatnot.
So Josh was so good at doing the raffle that one of our guests from the evening, Jonathan Hedrick, actually won one of the prizes. And I'm sitting here kind of scratching my head. I'm like, John, why did you sign up for the raffle? He's like, that little kid was over here and he was just like, come on, sign up for this. It's free stuff. So like Josh was so good that literally our creators that were here just visiting, he got signed up for our newsletter. So what did you think of Free Comic Book Day, Josh? You got to see it from the inside out. What was your opinions?
Well, we had a whole bunch of stuff going on. But it was a lot of fun. You could just come in, get some comics, and then now we know.
Yeah, you just had fun, right?
Yeah.
So Josh, I wanted to bring out Josh before I interview Matt and Steph. Josh helped us so much. He was totally volunteer. I mean, we hooked them up with tons of Pokemon. So, I mean, look at the kid got Pokemon. But thank you so much, Josh, for helping us out. Hopefully you had a fun Free Comic Book Day. Hopefully Matt had a fun Free Comic Book Day. And hopefully the rest of our customers had a fun Free Comic Book Day. But Josh, thank you so much for helping us out. Thank you for coming on the show, becoming a quick instant celebrity. And when next time we have events, you'll probably see Josh here again running all the freebies table because he is a hype man, collective hype man. But thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. Go have yourself some 2Js.
Yeah, Josh was a little hype, but he was the hype machine, man. I'm telling you what, it took me a while to be like, I was like, dang, they got a really young employee up in this place. It took me a while to realize he wasn't actually employed at the store, man. That dude, he was hyped up.
We gave him the shirt, and I'm like, if he was a little bit taller, people would have just thought he was an employee.
Oh, dude, I did think he was an employee for about the first hour.
But yeah, Josh had a good time. And, I mean, the whole event was for kids, so it was good to have a kid's perspective here handing out the things. But Matt, you were here for Free Comic Book Day. You were here for like almost 4 or 5 hours.
Yes,
so
sir. Yes, sir.
Before we talk about your books, tell us a little bit about your experience with us that day.
Well, I think one of the best things about being down there at the Collective was one, you had a really knowledgeable staff, and you guys were very friendly and personable. There's no way that anybody could have walked in that store and felt like they just walked in and walked out and were invisible. You guys definitely made sure that everybody felt like if they came in there for a reason, that that they were going to get their needs met in a sense. I know that sounds like very cheesy and very business-like, but that's a good thing when you have a business. People aren't going to walk into a comic book store by accident, but nobody was pushy to them, and everybody's like, the only time you pushed them was when Josh pushed them, dude, come back here and get some free stuff. You literally came in here, get free stuff, and that's a good way to get pushed.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate it, man. And I can't say it enough. I mean, I know this was your first time in our store. A lot of the Brevard boys, it was their first time in our store. The positive words that we received from creators, was awesome. We really have to thank you guys for coming out. I know, Steph, we didn't get a chance to get you out, but we will next time when you're in town. I know you're out there on the West Coast. But
yeah, if only I was a little bit closer. But no, Matt had great things to say about you and the shop and the experience. So I definitely want to, we've had a lot of luck with in-store signings. And so when it makes sense and I'm there and we can set up something, I would love to be out and hang out at the shop and do a little something there.
So your partner here, Matt, is a super charismatic guy. My running joke from the weekend is, even if people didn't interact with Matt, if they didn't stop at his table and talk to him, they definitely at least they'll remember Matt. If Matt's back in the store in 2 or 3 months with his top hat, they're gonna be like, I remember that guy, even if they didn't talk to him, which is you're memorable. So,
I like to say, and other people have said similar, that Matt could sell water to a fish, or you Phil, that you do ad libs, he could sell blank to blank, and whatever it is what he could do.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a likable guy, except for the fact he's wearing a Miami Dolphins hat, but he is a likable guy.
I agree with that.
But Matt is a very likable guy. So let me get right into the meat and potatoes of why you guys are here. So we'll start with Tales from Nocturnia. Matt was nice enough to make sure we had some copies of stuff after he left so that we can sell it to our awesome customers. So I made sure to get Tales from Nocturnia 1 and 2. And I talked to Matt a little bit about the book, but since we have you guys here on an official capacity, tell us about the book. Tell us about the series. I know it's only a 3-issue miniseries. Tell us about it.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, I thought he was directing it at you. He already talked to me, so I'll just zig to your zag when you're done zigging.
Tales from Nocturnia is a medieval fantasy series. It is officially and technically a spinoff from the steampunk time travel series Heirs of Isildur, but in a very loose way where you don't necessarily need to read one to enjoy the other. Now, it enhances the experience if you do, but you definitely aren't going to be missing any key elements. In fact, we make sure that when readers open up Tales from Nocturnia, they are up to speed on any events that might have happened prior to reading the book, so that they know what's going on. So they're not going, I don't understand this, But it is it's a story of a kingdom that has lost all of its rulers through unfortunate circumstances, whether it be death or they have gone missing, and they are now rudderless, they're leaderless. And there are a lot of people within the kingdom who have an idea of how the kingdom should be ran and who should run it. And we center on the executioner, whose name is Beninock. He has kind of been through, yep, there he is. He's been through a lot because he actually has witnessed. And when I go into Nocturnia, I try to be I tend to be a little bit more vague than what Matt usually says, because I want people to go, oh, I want to know more about that. I want to grab the book and buy it right now. But Beninock has been through a lot. He's witnessed some deaths, and as an executioner, for somebody to be rocked to their core by death is unusual and probably must be pretty bad. So he is kind of finding himself. He is, I don't want to say he's the reluctant leader, because he's not, but he, it's kind of, as you read the story, it's sort of up to him to right the wrongs of whoever the other leader was. But there's also an imminent threat from the kingdom near them. And I'll let Matt explain.
Yeah, one of the things we like to say about Beninock, one of the things we did, the juxtaposition at the beginning, everybody is trying to say, well, this is what we should do to move forward. This is what we should do. And Beninock actually has an idea, but they don't want to hear from him. Like it's the opposite for him. He's like, hey, what should we do to I have an idea about what we should do about this one situation. We're like, do you think we want to hear from you? You're the executioner. And in medieval times, some executioners were revered, others were treated like pariahs. Okay. And in Nocturnia, that's exactly how Beninock is. But they say, hey, if you get near the executioner, there's a curse. We want nothing to do with him. So he's kind of off to the side. So when he thinks that people want to hear from him, he goes to share what his thoughts are. And they're like, no. We just want to know where to bury people. just tell us where to bury people, Beninock. And he's like, oh, okay. And he gets mocked and laughed at. So that's kind of where the story starts.
Okay.
So like Steph was saying, it's a lot of posturing, trying to figure out who's going to lead this kingdom forward, while at the same time there's this imminent threat from the kingdom of Sinisteria, which is the bad guys, the Dungeons and Dragons style thing, a lot more fantastic creatures and monsters that they really hate Nocturnia. And there's reasons why they hate Nocturnia. We kind of, as the series goes on, you kind of figure out some of the reasons why. Mm-hmm. The thing that Steph stated, which I'll build on, is there's death or disappearance. The one place where there's a link between Nocturnia and Heirs is some stuff happens that is so traumatic that the king gets on his horse and rides out into the wilderness. Oh. As a reader of Heirs, you know that what happened is he goes out into the wilderness and this supernatural thing happens where a portal opens and he gets dragged through into the Heirs of Isildur storyline. In Nocturnia and in this universe, there's no such thing as that form of magic. They don't know what a portal is. So all they know is our king has ridden off, he's disappeared. And they're all trying to figure out what could have possibly happened. Was it that he just left us? Or did he get eaten by animals? Or did Sinisteria, our arch nemesis, did they kidnap him? Okay. And as a reader, if you know what happens in Heirs, you're like, dudes, you guys are idiots. He went through a portal. He's over here. So calm down. It's all good. He just went through a portal. But as a reader of Nocturnia, and you put yourself in their minds, they're just trying to make sense of it all. So you kind of get to see them. Some of them make good decisions. Some of them make terrible decisions, but they're using the information that they have to the best of their ability to be able to kind of do the best that they can.
Awesome. So I'm going to circle back because you mentioned Heirs 2 or 3 times, and I have it here in my pile. But I want to circle back to something Steph said because I find it very interesting. And you guys are co-writers on this book, correct? It's
co-writers on Nocturnia, but not on Heirs.
Okay. So on Nocturnia, you guys are co-writers. I have to ask, first of all, the whole thing that you're doing with the Executioner, it almost has like a kind of PTSD type of feel to it. Like obviously somebody who would be an executioner would see a lot of crazy stuff. That story never seems to ever be told in anything medieval or anything that revolves with that period. What made you guys want to go ahead and focus on that and tell a little bit about that, where I can't personally think of any time that the executioner has been key in things other than unless it's for evil?
Well, the funny thing about that is Beninock was never really supposed to be a character. The story of Heirs actually starts in Heirs of Isildur. Right. And there's what happens in Heirs of Isildur, without spoiling it, there are a bunch of deaths that happen. Wow. But some of the deaths that happen right at the feet of Beninock unexpectedly. He doesn't expect the deaths that happen to happen. And in the script for Heirs of Isildur, it literally said, we want to see these specific bodies on the executioner stage. Okay. Didn't even have a name for the executioner. The way that the artist drew it, it focused on the executioner looking back up at the king's box above him, when you could just see a little bit of the blood that was on the stage. And Steph and I kept going back to that panel, and we both kept saying to each other, I wonder what's going through that guy's head right now. And it was just a refrain that kept going over and over. I wonder what's going through that guy's head right now. And after a while, we're like, you know what? We really need to explore this. We wanted to explore Nocturnia a little bit more, and understanding how could an executioner be so traumatized by death itself. And that was kind of how we built it up. There's specific deaths that happen that traumatize him. And he's just like, screw this. I want nothing to do with execution anymore. There's got to be a better way in life. I was born into this and I'm sick of it. And so that's kind of how the origin of Beninock started. And that's where he's like, there's got to be something else. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm going to do. I might get cast out of the kingdom and get thrown out because I don't want to do my job anymore, but it's just too much for me. I've got to do something different in life.
That's super cool. Cause like I said, I find that to be unique. Me and my girlfriend both like Elder Scrolls and those types of high fantasy things. But like I said, you never hear anybody focus on an executioner or anything like that, unless it's for some villainy, So I think that's very unique and a fresh take from you guys. let's circle now back to what you were talking about, which was Heirs. We have your double-sized issue for issue 1 and 2 in store, and we also have, oh my gosh, this is so heavy. We have the 268-page enhanced trade edition graphic novel that is all 11 issues. Is that correct?
Correct.
All 11 issues plus a ton of extras. So talk to me about working on something as big as an 11-issue series like this. What was that like?
Well, I'll start with Heirs, even though I just talked last, but I'll start with Heirs. So I was a musician for many years, kind of toiled in the underground, and I got tired of being in the music scene. I just wanted to be away from it, all the politics of it, and still always had that itch to write. And after about 7-8 years, I decided to write again, decided I wanted to write a CD, and I wanted a little bit more of a story to it than just what I could put into the lyric notes. And from that idea, from that thought, is where Heirs of Isildur came from, and the steampunk in it. I was taking little bits and pieces of some unpublished songs that I had from before, and using them, repurposing, using them for the song lyrics, and that kind of was like, wow, this is what steampunk really is. It's a little bit of taking stuff that is old, repurposing it, and making it something new, and that was kind of the basis for the start of the series. The mini series turned into a ebook, turned into a 50,000 word ebook, then turned into a multi-issue series. And the only reason it was 11 issues is because I tried to make it play into the songs that were on the album.
Okay.
So a funny thing, and I'll kind of let Steph, give a little bit more on this. When Steph and I met, you've got two people that come from, I'm going to have this gigantic 11-issue, multifaceted, octopus arms, all this kind of stuff. And Steph was getting known in the industry as the one-page comic queen at that time. Not her name, but that is what I will call her till the end of time. She was known for, can I tell a story in as few pages as possible? She's got pieces that were, up for awards and a lot of anthologies. And so when we met, you have this. Doesn't mean that Steph couldn't write other things, because she had a graphic novel she was writing at the time as well. But that was where her first exposure into the market was. So you take me and this 11-issue massive complication, and her and we have to find a way to simplify these things and make the story be a little more understandable. You put them together. When we got to that trade, 268 pages, we literally went back and relettered every single page over a 2.5-month span.
Wow.
Every single thing that's in there, even though the first couple issues of Heirs came out before Steph and I started working together, her fingerprints not only were on every issue from issue 3, 4, 5 all the way through, but when we got back to the trade, she had editorial control over every single page in there. And Steph may look small and she may look nice, but she was really hard on me and dropped the elbow, making sure that I cut all that nonsense out of the trade. Isn't that right, Steph?
So Steph, and I'm gonna let Steph get her, but I have not met Steph yet.
I know this is our first time, actually talking.
Yeah, this is pretty much the beginning. But I've heard nothing but good things. But also that Steph is pretty, because I think our show's PG. I'm gonna use the word BA. I've heard that Steph is pretty BA. Like she,
I don't know where that rumor is coming from, because that is not. I'm not quite sure about that. I will say, I feel like I was a very fair editor. That's what I will say.
What's it like working with Matt, Steph? I mean, us here in the store had to deal with him. Deals, I feel like I'm being rough. We put up with him for 5 hours, but I can't imagine what the back and forth is like with you guys when you guys are writing something. What is it like working with Matt?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, we spend all day, every day on video chat together working, because obviously I'm in California, he's in Florida, so we can't, when I'm there, then we're in the office together working. But, for the most part, we're on video chat all day, every day. So clearly we can tolerate one another. But Matt is very high energy, and I have high energy as well, but in a different way. And so I feel like I think if we were both that level, I think we'd just be bouncing off the walls and would probably get, distracted and go off in a million different directions. So, but when one person is that way, it sort of motivates the other. So we have a lot of fun. Co-writing is different with each thing that we do, I would say. Matt comes from a project management background where he's very meticulous about Google Sheets and, and having everything a certain way. So I had to learn that. And, that's how we keep track of everything. So we've got everything on there, where I was used to just opening up Microsoft Word and just typing up a script. And, so we, it's a different, each day is different, but we definitely motivate each other.
So it's definitely a give and take, because I was going to say, with Matt's high energy, I don't know how you guys ever get anything done, because Matt is he's just fun. I mean, speaking of how you never get anything done, and it's both of our faults because we were having so much fun. But I was like, Matt, make sure, definitely please sign all of these if you can. And we were over here all taking pictures, and Harrison was here. Harrison
yeah, I know.
was
I
awesome.
love Harrison.
So we're all just having fun. And then I'm putting these all in the system, and I'm like, Matt's got a real tiny signature. I'm like, oh, no. But that just means, so before I keep going with the interview, if anybody buys any of Matt and Steph's books, so whether it be Heirs, Single Issue, The Trade, or Tales, we will definitely hook you up with an IOU. Next time Matt is in the store, we will get them all signed for you. And hopefully we're working on getting Steph here at some point in time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We always want to sign both issues. In fact, that is why I travel to Florida when we do Kickstarter fulfillment, so that I can, it's not the only reason why. Obviously, you need to help Matt package up the things, I just let him do all of it. No, we like to make sure that it's signed by both of us. Yeah. But one thing I will say is that his high energy is his passion for what he does. And you're not going to meet anybody that works harder than him. He is in his office working all day, every day, into the night. It doesn't stop. There's no days off. Every weekend, he's doing a lot of behind the scenes work. So he's great at Photoshop. So it's flatting, it's page layout. It's a lot of stuff to help the art team, because we have deadlines that we want to make sure we are able to meet. And sometimes that means helping out the art team a little bit. And Matt steps up and does that without hesitation every single time and makes sure that it gets done. His project management background helps with that, I think, making sure that the project stays on the rails and doesn't go careening off into the canyon somewhere.
Well, and one thing I will say about Steph real quick, because I don't want to take all that credit in there too. One of the first things that Steph ever did for me, so to speak, we had already talked about that we were going to work together. We already talked about we're going to have a company together, but we hadn't really decided what the impetus for that was going to be. We had an issue. We had an issue with an artist that we were working with in June of 2018. I already had a full back page ad on a Comic-Con program because we were supposed to be early releasing an issue of Heirs at the Comic-Con. The artist at the time completely vanished with what was there, 10, 12 pages left to be done.
Yeah, this is actually before we were officially working together. I mean, he was working on Heirs on his own at that point.
10 to 12 pages that completely vanished. So I'm like, either I can be completely screwed and not have the issue ready for this show that is literally the back page of every program for the entire Comic-Con, or we can figure out how to make it happen. And over the span of 3 days, I got about 12 hours of sleep, and it was like 4 hours, because the other 20 hours a day was nothing but trying to get this stuff squared away.
Yeah.
And the absolute truth, Steph was with me all 20 hours every single day. If I was up, she was up. If I was struggling, she was right there. So just because I'm high energy like I am, like I said, that's why, she is the yin to my yang and so on and so forth. Without her energy and without her attitude and her drive and her passion that she has, I would have lost my mind on that issue. She found a way to keep me focused and keep everything going and make sure that it stayed on track. And that's the kind of thing we both provide for each other as we go through. Sometimes I'm in that role. Sometimes I'm the one that is having to keep her under control and keep her motivated and keep her on track. And sometimes it's the other way around. So.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So let me ask you guys, I got a couple questions and then I'm going to let you guys go because I have another guest coming on. But we talked about how great of a team you guys are. and you guys are a great team. I talked about it last night, talking about it now. But let's give a little love. Talk to me about the artistic team on Tales and that, working with them and everything like that.
So I will say this: we've worked with a bunch of different people on Heirs across the years, whether it be as a penciler, as a colorist. Right now, the penciler that we're working with Stephen Baker, has done a great job with issue 3. Issue 3 is a double issue, 44 pages. So a lot of what he's done has really helped us to bring some of the things together, as far as making sure that the things that Steph and I want to have accomplished at the end of the issue, that we made sure that artistically were consistent at the beginning of the issue. If there was something that was a little loose in issues 1 and 2, he found a way to bring it back in and tighten it up a little bit. That's not to say that we had an issue with anyone else previously, but for instance, Jesse Hansen, who's the inker on issue 2, and he's doing some inks on issue 3. Jesse's done a good job of, hey, we're having a shortcoming here. Jesse's the reason why Steven's even working with us now. So that's Jesse's done a great job of helping us assemble the team to be able to get where we need to go. And then on the covers, holy crap, we've had so many different people that have worked with us on covers. Chris Rao, Thomas Tenney, Brian Silverbacks, Walter Ostley. We've had all these people that have come in and helped us do some great art and helped us to be able to create a really awesome experience when you get there.
So I actually was just flipping through this, and it reminded me one. Well, I got 2 questions for you before I let you guys go. I'm going to do one for you and one for Steph. Equal opportunity.
The hat?
Oh yeah, Matt, Steven's wondering where the top hat is. Matt, he's disappointed. I knew it was nearby. I knew.
Of course,
I've got 5
always
of them
nearby
right
just
here.
in case. You never know when you might need it.
Oh, that one's nice. Is that the one?
That actually looks pretty. That actually looks
Where to the wedding?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more sitting over here beside me. So
I just say really quick, because this is kind of funny, but the slogan for Heirs was where steampunk, comics, and metal collide. He's wearing a metal shirt and a steampunk hat, and there's comics behind him. So there you go.
Yeah, and the pops. I see it. Matt's nerdy. Matt might come across as metal, but Matt's pretty nerdy. So I remember we talked about it a little bit. I can tell Steph's nerdy. You don't have to.
I own it.
But, we talked about it on Saturday how you have some people, and granted, it's not a new thing to have people drawn into comic books. There's usually tiers for that on Kickstarter. But what I noticed that you guys did is you guys have a couple people here. I'm going to see if I can show this as best I can. So one of these is Richard Rivera, who did Stabbity Bunny. People from Florida may remember him. Another one is Harrison, who I met Harrison for the very first time on Saturday. He's an awesome guy. Nothing but great things to say about Harrison and his leather work. But talk to me real quick, Matt, about your process of putting people in the book and how important these people are to what you guys were able to do.
Wow, it's been fun, because when somebody comes into the book, we don't want to just have cameos. We did an issue that's all cameos, which was Heirs issue 7, had 33 people drawn into it. But it was all just cameo shots of them. We decided with Nocturnia, we wanted to make sure anybody that's drawn in actually had a role. So it didn't matter if it was Richard Rivera, who's just a big mentor and help and supporter of ours in the industry, or the Banded Fairy, or Harrison, or we had a 9-year-old girl at one point, her mom had her drawn in. We found it as a challenge to be like, well, how are we going to draw this person? We had to create characters because we wanted them to all have a hero moment, all have a line. And it became fun to find a way to be able to get all these people into the issue and into the story in a way that when they got it, they could be like, dude, look at this. I literally got to play a role. I literally have a role in this issue. Maybe they make it to the end. Maybe they die a horrible, bloody, disgusting, not PG death.
Matt does like to kill people. Matt does like to kill people.
Steph likes to kill people too. Don't worry. Steph is a devious one as well.
Some people like themselves to be killed.
No, for sure. So, Steph, that leads me to my last question here. So, I know Matt talked about it a little bit. Tales, we have issue 2. Issue 3 was what you guys just kickstarted, if I'm not mistaken, along with a trade. So, when can people expect 3? And then, what is your guys' plans for the future after Tales of Nocturnia?
So it's coming along really well. We finished up our Kickstarter. Gosh, it's been almost a month now. It's been a few weeks. It's kind of a blur, but we are in the art process and getting all of that ready. We're ordering all of the support merch that we have, and it's looking great, and we're really excited about it, and we think people are going to love it. It's one thing when you're looking at it and ordering and putting it on the Kickstarter site and going, okay, this is what you're going to get, but it's another to have it in our hands and be like, okay, these are actually really cool. That's one thing that we're doing. Sign of the times, we're doing face masks with our cool dragon symbol there. So we are hard at work trying to get those out to everybody in October. Also in October, we have a show that we do every year, twice a year, called Renegers Steampunk Days. It's at Renegers, and that's keychains that we've got.
Ooh, nice.
Renegers is an outdoor. It's kind of like a flea market, but it has they do steampunk themed events twice a year, and they're in Mount Dora, Florida. So we will be there.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll be there. Harrison will be next to us because he is. That's actually where we met him eventually. Back, a couple years ago now.
Awesome.
And so it's going to be. So that's the only show that we have planned because it's COVID. But after that, we have Matt is hard at work in another album.
Okay.
That we're hoping that right now our main focus is getting that Kickstarter, getting those Kickstarter rewards to everybody, and then we can breathe for 30 seconds before we move on to the next thing.
But we will potentially be getting eventually at some point another Knowles Cannon collaboration, right?
Oh, till the end of time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The reaction was instant and the same from both of you guys. Like,
It's funny. We were just talking about it this morning. We have a spreadsheet that we started when we first started In Symmetry Creations in 2018, and it has 26 story ideas on it. And they could just be, nondescript, cyberpunk story. That's all we have so far. We just know that that's what we want to write at some point. So, we want to expand the universes that we have already given people, and we want to create new ones, and we just want to create. And so the plan is to do that until, the end of time.
The Knowles Cannon collaboration is definitely never going away. We're definitely going to have a sequel to Heirs of Isildur. Like she said, there's going to be an album, and the album is going to have songs that pertain to both Heirs and to Tales from Nocturnia. The first album was basically all Heirs except for one song that linked the two titles. If you go to any of the Kickstarters for Tales from Nocturnia and you watch the campaign video, each one of them has a little bit of music in there, and each one of those is a piece of a different song that's going to be on the next album. So
okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I am wishing you guys the best of luck. Can't wait to get issue 3 in store. The books are Tales from Nocturnia. We have issues 1 and 2. Like they said, 3 is in the pipeline. They have it, should be out in October. We do have the first double-sized. If you just want to check out Heirs, we have the double-sized issues. And then if you want to check out their full and complete story, we have the absolutely massive. Guys, I'm not joking. I mean, I told Matt it was genius to get the page count printed right on the front.
Yeah.
268 pages. This is like 2.5 DC or Marvel trades right here.
That's just going to look pretty on your coffee table.
Yeah. So, and the art is phenomenal. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. If any of our collective customers, this books are on the Collective Initiative shelf. Let us know, and we will make sure that we get you a signed copy once Matt and Steph come back into town, maybe when you guys are in Mount Dora. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Have the best of luck moving forward. And I know we will see you here in store again real soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us on, Danny. We appreciate it.
You guys take it easy. And Steph, you be safe out there in California.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's getting a little crazy.
Yeah,
so,
no problem,
thank
guys.
you. I appreciate it.
We'll see you around.
All right. Thank you.
That's it.
Bye.
So those were my guests, Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon from Tales from Nocturnia and Heirs of Isildur. I actually have another guest here for our little tale section of the show. I'm going to bring him out. He is the writer of Heroinberg Comics out of Pittsburgh, PA. I've got Manny here.
I am Heroinberg.
He is Heroinberg.
Yes, I'm addressed as that. Thank you.
Heroinberg. So
Hey.
tell us a smidge. We actually, so the
Nice
books.
to meet you. Nice to meet you, Danny.
They come with stickers, with a sticker.
Each book comes with a sticker, correct?
So Manny, we've talked a few times.
boy.
You said that heroine. You mentioned that one of your inspirations is FemForce.
Yep.
Talk to us about that inspiration and then what led to the creation of your comic.
Okay, well, it's the thing that you can most compare it directly to. So the purpose of the book was to do a powerful superheroine universe, and obviously a good comparison is the 1980s, 1990s, which is still going, of course. The guy lives in Orlando to this day. The FemForce series, on another general inspiration from back in the day was George Perez and his work on New Teen Titans. One of the first heroines that we read about were Raven, Starfire, and Wonder Girl. So we take some stuff from that, and really just any kind of. We left the comic book world for a while, but now that we're back, we really kind of just soaked up any kind of influence for a live-action superheroine universe. Because, first of all, this comic book started out as a live-action video series, which is still being released. We just finished filming the 18th episode, and 17 episodes are out right now. So, I picked up more recent things, and, some examples might be Empowered.
Okay.
And Warren. Another one, and we really love Amanda Connor, would be the Power Girl.
Power Girl. Yeah.
Very influential on us. And then, of course, what else? Birds of Prey. Not necessarily this particular book, but more of the Chuck Dixon style things, but
yeah,
a little bit of Gail Simone too, probably. And then, of course, a lot of the 90s heroines like Lady Death and She.
Okay.
And what else? The Authority. Characters like the Engineer. We based one of our characters kind of on an adaptation of the Engineer from Authority, and even some multicultural and stuff from other countries, such as Debbie, which is from Virgin Comics and is the only Indian superheroine to ever have her own comic book ever. So,
oh wow.
Well, for example, and what else? Velocity from Cyberforce.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Heroinberg, I'm hearing a lot of Florida inspirations there. I mean, you mentioned FemForce. George is from here. Amanda Connor's over here. I mean, a lot of Florida
Amanda and Jimmy, and also we respect Roland Mann with Silverline, who's been around a long time in Orlando. I don't know. So yeah, sure. We've got Florida inspiration, and then we've got all our inspiration from Pittsburgh. The comic book itself, Pittsburgh is a character, and if you allow me to explain, basically the backstory is that a meteor explodes above Pittsburgh and gives a whole bunch of women powers. Some use them for good, some use them for evil, and some switch sides. And so Pittsburgh itself is integral to both the live action videos and the comic book. We use all kinds of real locations, real situations, things you would see in Pittsburgh, ethnicities, neighborhoods, subcultures, the universities, the Pittsburgh Zoo. So Pittsburgh itself is, I like to say, if you've ever seen that cartoon, which is also an Action Lab comic, Miraculous Ladybug.
Yes.
Paris is basically a character in the series. You would probably say, they show the Louvre and all those things. And the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe, Eiffel Tower. In the same way, Pittsburgh is kind of it's a fantastical version of Pittsburgh, but the reality shows all of the actual buildings and neighborhoods and landscapes. Of course, you can't really get superpowers from a meteor, so yeah. But we're not Gotham City or Metropolis. It's not imaginary. It's a kind of a fantastical version of a real place.
That's awesome. So and I remember FemForce making Florida kind of sort of feel like a character as well.
Oh yes,
I can see that you got some inspiration from that. How has the reception been from? I don't know forgive me, what the proper term might be. Pittsburgh Knights or Pittsburgh residents. What have Pittsburgh residents said to you guys about the book? Since their city is featured in this. What has the reception been at home?
Well, I think mostly on Facebook, because Facebook tends to often be like kind of a more of a local or regional attractor of fans than it does, other forms of social media like Twitter and YouTube, which are more like international, any random person looks. So especially on Facebook, we have a local following consisting of, and that's the thing, like everybody involved lives in Pittsburgh. We have 40 actresses. We have a whole bunch of male actors. We have artists doing all the, inking, coloring, lettering, and everybody involved is from Pittsburgh, including a couple people who have worked for DC in the past, and one who still works for DC now, Jason Wright, who does all the art that you see behind me.
He signed the book. All the copies here in store are signed by Jason Wright.
Correct. He's on Metal Men right now. He's about to finish that series with Shane Davis and Dan DiDio. But we were discussing the reaction of Pittsburgh, right? So the way it works in Pittsburgh is like the way it would. We're almost kind of like a local band. A local band has local followers, and then their friends follow, and then the friends of friends, and then you get articles in local papers and so on. So I think that there's basically like several different audiences for what we do. There is an audience in Pittsburgh. There's an audience worldwide, and then there's various specialty audiences, like people who specifically like female superheroes, for example. But yeah, the local component of it kind of works almost like we're a band. Like, are you a fan of what's going on here? Then you might be a fan of our series as well. We show our live action videos. We debut them after we make them. We show them in local theaters.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so people come in and check them out at theaters, and then a week later it's up on the site, and anyone can download it throughout the world. So, and we have a fan base of people who do download the videos, and so there you go. Comic books you get out a different way. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Well, I was actually, while I'm over here looking through some of the book as well, and I wanted to talk to you because we talked about some of your inspirations with FemForce and stuff like that. I'm also noticing, you got a cool little full page here with a mech, and then, we go to the next page, it's a few pages. But then,
explain that. Oh, okay. That's a kaiju.
Little kaiju action in there, too.
So we could talk about the aesthetic of the comic. You'll notice in both stories in the comic, we're doing things that we really can't do in the live action videos. I mean, the live action videos, we do have CGI because we use Adobe Premiere and After Effects. And, you've got lasers and poison gas and blasting and stuff like that, bullets bouncing off people. You can do that. But you can't do flying demons from hell like in the first story. That you would have to spend millions of dollars paying, someone to program. And then you can't do a kaiju battle between a giant mecha, which was built by our mechanical engineer superheroine Ex Machina, who works at Carnegie Mellon University. That's the high-tech zone in Pittsburgh. And you obviously can't have a super gigantic lizard monster, which was created by our evil villainess Serpenta as an experiment. She's the master of herpetology and reptilian stuff. You can't have those things in our lower budget videos. So I thought the best way is to put them in the comic instead. The second issue is going to have an aerial battle between several superheroines and flying destructive robots. So we get, but also the second comic will have a street battle, just on the street between a superheroine and her evil sister. So we're doing some stuff in the comic that we really couldn't do in the videos.
Okay, cool. That's really cool.
Battle.
Let me ask you. So I know you actually reached out, or one of your guys reached out to us about getting the book in store. But did you guys end up having to do Kickstarter? Did you guys crowdfund at all, or did this come out?
We're doing something that I don't know why no one else is doing, but maybe just because it's very laborious to do. But I don't think it's any more or less work than running a Kickstarter. We have not done crowdfunding yet.
Okay.
We're going to be hopefully doing it for issue 2. Maybe on both platforms, and because a lot of times they have 2 different audiences, which don't necessarily always overlap.
Yeah. Yes.
But and so when we do offer number 2 as as a campaign, we'll of course be offering number 1 as part of a package, and some other things like T-shirts and stickers, like you see behind me. There's T-shirts. You have to be careful when you do a crowdfunding campaign. We really noticed that, you have to have a large enough audience on a bunch of different social media platforms, or it's not really going to take off. Mm-hmm. So rather than try to risk that on the first book, we print up limited runs of 50 at a time.
Okay.
And then I did something which I guess very few people have done, and it was kind of started by almost inspired by the advent of the COVID and when Diamond shut down and stuff. Instead of waiting for a distributor to take us, or begging a distributor to take us, or waiting for a new distributor to arise, I thought, well, why not get a hold of a bunch of stores instead? So there was a page on the Facebook called Plan C, mm-hmm. and Plan C was a method to directly connect publishers with retailers. So you don't necessarily go direct to customer like a campaign would, but you at least cut out the distributor step. And so a lot of people posted on Plan C saying that they were receptive to indies. So I figured, hey, let's contact a whole bunch of stores and see if they would take the book. And that way we can create a buzz all over the country, even when Diamond is shut down. And it's so in this process over the past, I don't know, what has it been since March, right? Over the past 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, 5 to 6 almost.
5 to 6. We have gotten our books. We started out even before the COVID in getting them into local stores, about a dozen regional stores in Western PA, because we're from Pittsburgh. Okay. And then went to a couple conventions early last year in New York, places like that, and sold them at conventions. But beyond that, we now have the book in 68 stores around the country, and even a handful in Canada, New Zealand, and Israel, which I don't recommend doing that often because the postage is killing you at this point.
I can imagine. I've had conversations with Canadian customers about, because people all comics are not an American thing. Comics are worldwide, but I've had conversations with our friends just north of the border, and it's so much more expensive to ship something to Canada than to Detroit, Michigan or something.
So the idea of getting comics in Canada and New Zealand is mostly kind of symbolic, although some of the symbolism is important. Like, for example, Stu, the guy that runs and owns Comic Hub, he took some for his Auckland store.
He's in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, he's in Auckland, and we got them to him, and now we're registered on Comic Hub because of him. But and certain other things, like, for example, getting them in the store that Jimmy and Amanda frequent is cool too. But in general, sure, getting them outside the country while postage is this expensive is tough. But as far as shipping them all over the U.S., it's really simple. Just media mail. And we even eat the postage. It's just $3. I mean, what is that? If I have to spend $3 to get 10 comics to someone in Florida or California or Michigan, well, great, that's fine. So they're on shelves with their stickers and ready for people to check them out.
Yep. So we have them here. We actually already sold like 2 or 3 to some FemForce fans.
Yeah, that would be a kind of what they call in comics a jumping off point.
Yeah, it's that cross pull. We did that. But yeah, man. So before I let you go, because we still got like about 5-10 minutes here.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit. We talked about the inspirations.
Yeah.
But and you talked about how they get their powers. Tell me a little bit about some of the main characters here. I know we got female strong leads here, but can you tell me a little bit about some of the main characters?
Sure. So as I said, their approach to their powers divides them into good, bad, and maybe a little bit anti-heroine gray, right? So the ones on the cover themselves, since this is not all of the heroines are in this first book, but the ones on the cover themselves, you can see here. This one up top is the one I was talking about before, the Asian American superheroine from Carnegie Mellon, she's a mechanical engineer, and she, I would say that she is a combination of Kitty Pryde, as far as kind of having an X-Men appearance to her costume a little bit, Magneto in that she has magnetic powers, and like a super version of MacGyver because she has the power to fix or repair anything instantly. And actually, where I got that idea from was from the TV show Scorpion. There is a character on there, an Asian woman named Happy Quinn, and she could fix. She was basically like a younger Asian female version of MacGyver. So that's kind of where I drew from her. And then the other 4 that happened to be on the cover, this is Lunessa. She's the mistress of the moonlight, and she has the power to turn light solid. So we might compare her to Dagger from Cloak and Dagger.
Okay.
She's part of a triple heroine team that defends the Pittsburgh goth industrial scene. That's one of our subcultures here. And she likes to DJ synth pop, and she has the power to turn light solid like Dagger does. We have over here Arctica, who I would like to call her a combination of the attitude of the icy attitude of Emma Frost with the icy powers of Killer Frost.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, so she's a cryogenic physicist, not unlike Killer Frost, and gets the powers from that, from the meteor, giving her the powers to do that. And as she becomes increases with her cold powers, she warms up more and starts to think a little bit less about her cold scientific experiments and more about relationships. And she happens to be bisexual. And so basically she gets a little bit amorous and tries to come on to a couple of the other heroines in the series, one of whom already has a girlfriend. And so there's a little bit of a love triangle in episode 17. And we actually reflected that slightly in the comic as well. So we have, again, relationships that are both same sex and hetero in the comic. And she happens to be bi, I guess, and is always looking for a girlfriend, a superpowered girlfriend. And then finally over here, we have somebody who is going to turn evil. I can kind of, I guess, let the cat out of the bag here. This is Spectrina. We based her on many things. We based her on Halo from The Outsiders.
Okay.
We based her on a villainess from Sleepwalker, which is a Marvel comic, a villainess called Spectra, or I think that was her name, Spectra. Yeah. So Spectrina has rainbow powers, which means the entire electromagnetic spectrum. She can shoot lasers, microwaves, stuff like that. And she is technically the most powerful one in the Heroine League. She doesn't have the most strength, but she has the most energy powers. And so in episode 18, all through our episodes, she kind of expresses her kind of selfishness and the fact that she's not really into being altruistic. And on the side, she commits little crimes. Okay. And the corrupt cop who leads the evil faction actually helps to cover up her crimes in exchange for her spying on the heroines. And so in episode 18, she's going to turn bad, and you'll see her actually challenge the corrupt cop for the leadership of the evil cabal of villains, which is called the Black Faction. So she's one of them who switches sides. But in this comic, at least, you don't see that yet. She's still using her rainbow powers to defeat the flying demons. So
it's like very much still an origin here in the. So
that's an example. Yeah, well, yeah, that's an example of some of the stuff we have. But altogether we have about 16 heroines, and I don't know, about 12 or 14 villains, most of whom are female. But like I said, there's the corrupt cop and a handful of male villains as well. So quite a large cast, all played by real people in Pittsburgh. We draw them from the music scene, the amateur acting scene, belly dance, burlesque, improv comedy. They all get together. And the really only requirement is for them to be kind of charismatic and expressive and adventurous in their acting skills, I guess.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome, Heroinberg. So just before I let you go, we have the book. The book is Heroinberg Comics #1. We have it in the store here on the Collective Initiative shelf. What's the timeline for issue 2 looking like? I know this just recently came out. What are you thinking?
Well, actually, this came out a little while ago. It was just that we didn't really do a national push right away. So we had it in local stores for a little bit. since the beginning of the year. And then around the COVID times, just decided not to wait for a campaign, not to wait for a distributor, but just go for it. 68 stores. So, as I said, we both do live action and comic books. So we've been working during these downtimes quite furiously during lockdown, both to finish filming episode 18, which we did, and now that's going into post-production, and to work on issue 2. So for issue 2, we've invited more people along. We have a second indie artist who's going to join Ben Barnett. This new artist is Wayne Brown. We brought him on to do some of our comic strip. We did a comic strip in a local newspaper for a little bit. And Wayne Brown is known for doing various indie comics. He drew so far 6 issues of a book called Like Father, Like Daughter, which is by Kat Kalamia. She is the person who runs the Comic Uno YouTube channel.
Okay.
And so Ben and Wayne will be doing issue number 2. We're also going to be reprinting all of the strips from the newspaper. So, and we're going to have a page of pinups, not just by Marcel Walker, who did the back pinup for issue number 1. And this is actually his girlfriend he drew. Her name is
awesome.
Yes, so he had to do a good job. He drew Kristen, who plays the excuse me. She plays the Arabic superheroine Jania in the comic, and she's also a belly dancer. So, and she does many other creative things in town. But what was I saying here? Yeah, we have some new artists that we brought on board to do pinups for us, including a woman named Anne Strongman, and also an artist who drew for DC in the 80s and 90s. His name is Howard Bender. He's doing a pinup for us, and that's already done. And awesome. As per usual, because we always treasure his participation, Jason Wright is again going to do a cover for issue 2 with some flying superheroines battling Destructo robots.
Awesome! I cannot wait for it.
So issue 2 in the late fall, early winter. Yes.
Awesome.
So episode 18
this year then.
Yeah, this year, the end of this year, and episode 18 in October, 1 month from now.
Awesome. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Heroinberg. Again, the book is Heroinberg Comics #1. If you're a fan of FemForce, if you're a fan of BA women like Emma Frost and stuff like that, you will definitely love the book.
80s, 90s superheroines, also Birds of Prey. Yep, stuff like that.
And George Perez, things like that. FemForce.
Oh, yeah.
All copies in the store come signed, and they have stickers in them. So...
yeah, we have 7 different stickers. It's a crapshoot. You don't know which one you're going to get.
Yeah, I was already looking through, and it looks like I think every book has a different one. So come in, get lucky, get an awesome set of stickers. The book is Heroinberg Comics. Thank you so much, Heroinberg. You have a good one, and keep us updated on the future of the series.
Beautiful, Danny. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck. Best of luck with the store.
Thank you very much. You have a good one. Stay safe out there.
Bye.
So that was our latest episode, episode 9 of the Collective Spotlight. I want to thank Matt Cannon and Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon from Tales from Nocturnia and Heirs of Isildur. We have their books here in store. I'm also going to go ahead and thank Heroinberg. Just had him on the show. Heroinberg Comics, signed by Jason Wright and himself. All of those things and more on the Collective Initiative shelf. If you have not checked it out lately, the shelf has expanded to be a full and complete shelf of self-published comic books. You get a chance to come in store, check that out. And thank you very much, guys. Remember, we have our happy hour auction tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Wednesday right here at the Collective Facebook channel. Take it easy, guys, and have